Now I've got a problem. I've got 5 electric cars, but I've also got solar. Now the solar produces electricity in the daytime, and these EVs need to chomp it at night time. So today's episode, I'm going to show you how to use a second-hand EV battery to be able to use electricity from the daytime, store it, and charge up EVs, and also power my house through the daytime. Let's get into it. So here we've got my wife's Tesla Model 3, I've got my Land Rover Defender, over there I've got my VW Beetle and my son's Renault Zoe. Also my VW Crew Cab is normally here as well, but we've only got 3 drivers, so only 3 of these cars can be working at any one time. Now to mitigate the fact I've got loads of EVs, I put solar on my roof. Over here is an older array, it's been up there probably for about 20 odd years. And I've got a newer one up there. Total is around about 9 kilowatt peak. So the problem is that in the week when we're at work and the cars aren't here, all that electricity is just being exported to the grid. I need a big reservoir to hold all that lovely energy that's being produced in the daytime so that we can use it in the evening, so that when we plug our EVs in at night, it's getting the electricity from the sun into that big reservoir and then into the socket. Now years ago I fitted a Tesla Powerwall 2, around about 13 kilowatt hours of energy, and that's a big one. I've got a big one. You've got one.
Mine's a lot smaller.
Yours is quite small, isn't it?
Mine's only 5 kilowatt hours.
And that is the problem with domestic battery storage. They're usually quite small and kind of, I don't know, designed for just a house, I think, really.
Yeah, and they're quite expensive.
And they are expensive, yeah. I mean, I can't remember how much this was, but how much
I think 5 kilowatt hours is about 2.5 grand.
Wow, okay. So a small battery is quite expensive. But you've seen the problem I've got. I've got a 100 kilowatt hour battery in the Land Rover. I've got 40 in that Zoe, another probably 45 in my Beetle. A Tesla, I don't know what that is, 50, 60, something like that. There's a lot of energy in those batteries and a tiny little battery storage. So in short, I need a reservoir, I don't need a puddle. So that is why I went out and sourced a second-hand EV battery and installed it for battery storage, and I'm really excited to show you the results. So let's set the scene here as to what I've actually done, because I've got obviously a lot of experience with EVs. I've got a good network, if you like, of suppliers that can provide a second-hand battery out of an EV, because, you know, just like any cars, EVs crash or get crashed into, therefore parts are dismantled and put on the shelf. And if you go to eBay now and search, you know, a Nissan Leaf battery pack, for instance, you'll see that they're available from anything from £500 up to £3,500, depending if you want a 20 kilowatt hour battery pack or a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack. So in short, we've taken a battery pack from underneath a second-hand EV, and for the same price as Tim's got a 5 kilowatt hour battery pack, I have a 40 kilowatt hour battery pack. So I chose a Nissan Leaf battery pack for my project, if you like. Why? Because a Nissan Leaf battery pack doesn't have any cooling system in it, and you know, they're fairly readily available. But the problem I encountered straight away was a Nissan Leaf battery pack, or any EV battery pack, normally sits flat underneath the car, and I wanted to turn it through 90 degrees and plonk it down there. So I had to build a frame to hold it in that position, and I thought, you know what, other people can have the same problem. So we've actually designed this frame to be flat packed, and we can make it so if you want the same frame that I've used here, I'll put a link in the description, we'll put it on our web shop. So yeah, go there. They're unpainted, so you'll have to paint it yourself, but fabrication wise it's done. So we've got a frame that we've turned through 90 degrees, and we had a load of fun last weekend with my mates getting this 300 kilowatt hour, I wish, 300 kilogram battery over the roof here, not drop it on my solar panels, and install it under the roof here. And that was last weekend. Also, those two mates are very interested to follow the path and actually do this at their house as well. So they did it as a bit of a learning exercise as well. But yeah, underneath here now is that 40 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that's just one part of the puzzle. So that's the battery covered, and bear in mind you need 3 ingredients to bake this cake. You essentially need the battery, which we've got just behind me outside here. We need the solar inverter, which I have here, taking that energy from the solar panels and turning it into AC, 240 volts AC. And then thirdly, we need something to communicate between the two so that they can play nicely together. So I made a little bit of a boo-boo because I didn't future-proof my solar system when I installed it a few years back. I just installed a normal solar inverter. Now an inverter takes the DC energy, if you like, from the solar panels and converts it to AC power so that we can use it in the house. So DC from the solar, AC for the house, 240 volts. But the other thing that uses DC power is batteries. Now, I needed a hybrid inverter which has an input for solar and battery. So I had to swap out this Fox inverter for another hybrid Fox inverter, and the reason why I stayed with Fox is because that meant that all the plugs that were going into the bottom here were exactly the same. So I just physically had to take this one off the wall, plonk this one on, and put those plugs back in and make the connection then to the battery. Now the third ingredient, which is the most important ingredient, it's a bit like yeast in bread. Without it, it ain't going to be bread, is this box here. Now this is the universal translator, if you like, between the battery and the inverter. This talks the right language downstream to the battery, translates it, if you like, upstream for the inverter. And I'll put all the links in the description for where we got this from. It's from an awesome project called the Battery Emulator project. Darla the Great, aptly named if you ask me. So I bought this, which it's a Stark basic box from the website called Redispose, I think it's called. Again, links in the description. And this takes the high voltage in from the battery, and you've got an isolator there, and then the isolator comes out, then goes off to the inverter, and it also has 240 volt to 12 volt DC converter over here, because don't forget, a Nissan Leaf battery pack, it works off a 12 volt DC battery in a car, not 240 volts. So we needed to provide 12 volt DC to the Nissan Leaf battery to make that work. So it's got a 240 volt AC to 12 volt DC power supply converter that goes in there. But it also, which is the really important bit, is the bit in the middle there. That is a LilyGo board, and there's another version called the Stark CMR. More on that in a bit. And that board there is the clever brains of the outfit, if you like. That runs the Battery Emulator software that allows us to talk to the battery and the inverter at the same time, and that each can just control that, what's happening, if you like. So it's really important at this point to state that you've got to be competent in what you're doing from an electrical point of view here. So physically we've got our brains installed, we've got the battery installed, and we've got the solar inverter just the other side here. But we have to wire it all up, and this is where you kind of need to know what you're doing. If you're unsure, yes, this is DIYable, but as I say, if you're unsure, get a qualified electrician to do it, because you are messing around with 400 volt DC, and that doesn't mess around. Okay, so just want to say that we've done this ourselves, but I work around 400 volt DC all the time. I'm IMI level 4 qualified. Tim was with me. He's an you're not quite electrician, but you're an electrical engineering manager, let's say. So he knew, on the 240 volt AC side of things. So yes, I did DIY install this, but it's upon yourselves to make sure that you are safe, and if you are unsure about it, get a electrician to do it. You can certainly do the physical stuff of put it all on, but to connect it all up, got to know what you're doing. So safety talk over. What did I do? So we got our 240 volt AC coming in here to power it. We've got the anything orange, you should know by now from our videos, anything orange is high voltage. So you've got the 400 volt DC coming in from the battery here, and then going back out into the inverter there. and then we've also got another low voltage loom coming from the Nissan Leaf battery here up to here, and also coming back out here, and I'll explain why that's going into the garage in a minute. What this wire here does, this is powering 12 volt DC, powering the Nissan Leaf BMS, battery management system, but also it's closing the contactors to allow the DC power to come through these cables and into the inverter. So the other low voltage loom that I mentioned that's coming into the garage, that is coming through the hole here and going up to these things up here. Now what are these? These are solid state relays. So we're converting the 3 volt DC signal from that LilyGo board, the brains inside that box, to 12 volt DC up here. So it's essentially a relay that can have 3 volts to trigger it, so that 12 volts can flow back out into the Nissan Leaf battery pack and close those contactors, or this one here, power the BMS. Now the BMS needs to be periodically turned off once every 24 hours just to keep it happy, so that it's keeping an eye on its state of health, state of charge, etc. Just like you wouldn't keep an EV on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The battery management system in that battery doesn't like it, so we've got a little relay up here which every 24 hours for 30 seconds turns it off and then back on again, and it's happy. Alright, so now it's all installed and live. You can see my state of charge on the battery is 66%, so this is talking via the battery emulator to the battery, and it's communicating, if you like. And also we're producing, well, it's varying, but we're producing 1.3 kilowatt hours, and I'm pretty sure that is after it's charging up the battery. It's charging the battery from the solar, and what is left over is going to the house. So that's physically the installation done, but setting the system up was probably it was the simplest part of the whole project, because that LilyGo board in there provides a Wi-Fi hotspot, so you just connect to that Wi-Fi hotspot. If I do that now, so battery emulator, connect to that Wi-Fi, fine, and then you go to 192.168.4.1, which is the website that's knocking out, and then on there, you probably can't see that, I'll put a screenshot on, there's a web page that then is publishing. You choose which battery you've got, Nissan Leaf 40 kilowatt hour, you choose which inverter you've got, which is Fox ESS H1 I think it is, and a couple of other settings, and then press go or save, and you're done. If there's something that you've done wrong, it'll come up with a fault and it'll pretty much tell you what you've done wrong. Go to the links in the description and the Battery Emulator GitHub pages, and there's a lot. This isn't the first rodeo as far as people doing this before. Other people have done this, so if you've made a mistake, chances are somebody else has already made that mistake, and that website and link in the description is really, really helpful for you to figure out what have you done wrong. And I did a few things wrong. Right, I'm going to call this section Lessons Learnt and Top Tips, but Tim's going to call it Moggy Effed Up.
Cock-ups.
Yeah, cock-ups. So, a couple of things. You have your high voltage disconnect on your Nissan Leaf battery. Leave that out for the entire journey until you're ready and you're sure, and switch it on last minute. For about 10 minutes was confused as hell, trying to figure out why doesn't it work, and then at the corner of my eye I saw I didn't put the service disconnect back in. Oops, I only work around EV batteries all day, can't believe I did that. So that was one lesson learned. Can high and low, get them around the right way. I didn't make that mistake, but it's just something that a lot of people can do if they see that the battery emulator, whether or not you're using the LilyGo or the Stark CMR, isn't communicating to the inverter or the battery. First thing, check your can high and low, and if you're not sure, it's very quick, just swap those two wires around. One thing I did make a mistake on is when I went to the Redispose web shop, I never have full time to research these things because I'm so busy with doing the cars, that I skimmed over what I needed. I knew I wanted a Stark CMR, I wanted an enclosure, because yes, I can make that myself and we have them in stock, but I just wanted something really simple. So I knew I needed a Stark CMR, which is the brains, and an enclosure. So I went on to the Redispose web shop and I ordered a Stark basic box. And I thought I was, you know, the bee's knees. What arrived didn't include the Stark CMR. So naming convention on that web shop isn't great, if you ask me, because the Stark basic box does not include the Stark CMR, even though that the actual, what I thought was it when I saw, is actually the 240 volt to 12 volt DC converter. I just visually saw that. I thought, oh, that's the Stark CMR. And ordered it. No, it wasn't. So just lesson learned there. If you are going to do this project yourself, get the enclosure with the Stark CMR DIN rail mount thing in, because that makes it easier as well, because then you don't need all of those 4 solid state relays that are put in as well. So yeah, lesson learned there. Do a little bit more research than I did and get the right component, if you like, the Stark CMR box, not the Liligo board box. It still works. I'm still happy. But the other thing is, when it arrived, again, because I didn't do the research, the Stark Liligo, sorry, the Liligo board was a CAN and 485 comms, and I needed 2 CAN Liligo board, because the solar inverter doesn't like to talk on the same CAN communication network as the battery. One talks Welsh, one talks American. Doesn't work. So essentially I needed a 2 CAN board. They're only $24 from Liligo, so I just ordered that. A couple of days later it arrived. So that's another thing I got wrong. I think that's it. It's not many mistakes I made there. Liligo board, I ordered the wrong thing, and I forgot to put the service disconnect in. Three, that's less mistakes than they make normally in one day.
That's quite a few for you, isn't it? It's quite good.
It's quite good. I'm impressed by that. Now, there's one thing I haven't mentioned, and you're probably wondering, why, Moggs, did you not use the 100 kilowatt hour battery that's in, say, your Land Rover as the battery storage, and get that to communicate to the inverter? And the answer is, that's essentially what I was going to start doing. And I was then researching, well, I need a brains, if you like, to communicate to everything in here and to my my solar inverter. And then that kind of wasn't yet available, or it's coming. Apparently I've now found out that the GitHub Battery Emulator project is starting to support the battery management system that's in some of my conversions, which is fantastic news. So I may do that in another episode, but it's because the solution wasn't quite ready to communicate from this to the inverter, and I had a Nissan Leaf battery pack spare, and a lot of my mates wanted to go down the Nissan Leaf battery pack route, so I thought, you know, let's do that. It's an interesting project. So that's why I didn't get this as my energy storage device at home, and I went with the Nissan Leaf battery pack. Right, so now I'm just going to top up with some free electrons. Thank you, sun. Thank you, battery. Because this afternoon we're going off for a little walk with Spud in the woods in the Land Rover. But I just want to finish by saying massive thanks to Darla and the Battery Emulator guys for making this all possible. They've done some fantastic work there, and it's not just Nissan Leaf batteries. There's a long list of batteries that are supported by that, and a long list of solar inverters that work as well. So check out the link in the description for the Battery Emulator project. Also, if you want that Nissan Leaf frame that we've made and designed, I'll put a link in the description for that as well. But yeah, it just leaves me to charge this up a little bit. I'm going to go get some lunch, probably mow the lawn, and take the dog for a walk. So on that note, hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.